All right, welcome back. Again, this is DM Don going through rapid fire, talking about what you need to know before you dive in and start making your character. So I'm going to hit the classes now, fast and furious. So in Adventure's Edge, there are 18 classes, but kind of at a higher level, there are 3 class categories. You've got your fighters, your rogues, and your magic users. So within each of those in the base game, there are 6 of each of those classes. So there's 6 fighters, 6 rogues, 6 magic users. Once you pick which class you're interested in, let's just say we'll start with, say you're interested in a fighter and you want to be an armsman. And I'm not going to just read them off. You can go through and read the sheet, but this is just what you need to pay attention to when you are building your character and what you need to record. So each class has a ability score requirements. So looking at an armsman, the armsman needs to have a strength, dex, and con of 12 plus. So you can have just 12. That's just whatever the minimum requirements are. So you need to pay attention to that. So whenever you go to assign your stats, you meet the minimum requirements for the skill or for the class. Your class determines what your 4 class skills are, which is where you get those 5 skill points for level 1, plus then you get to pick the other skills and then your starting proficiencies. So like an armsman gets combat at 5 ranks, athletics at 5 ranks, conditioning 5 ranks, and general knowledge at 5 ranks. And then you have some predetermined proficiencies. So like the armsman is 3 weapon proficiencies of choice, armor use, and shield use. There's no athletics proficiency requirement, but under conditioning, you have to pick resilience. And under general knowledge, you have to pick military tactics. So then you get 6 more skill ranks to put into 6 different skills, not including the 4 base skills. And then 3 proficiencies to put wherever you want that you put at least 1 rank in at that level. So that's how that works. And then you have some class abilities. So every class has a number of class abilities. I think most of them have about half a dozen unique abilities. But what I want to talk about is that every class has an F ability. And let me just pop this sheet up real quick. At the top of the sheet, you're going to see here an F. And when you go to fill out, because this is a fillable PDF, your F ability is going to be, it's a word that starts with F. And say you're an armsman. The armsman ability is focus. So at the top of the sheet, you can click in here and you'll type focus. And that's what you're going to have for the life of your character. So that is a attribute that will increase over time based upon ranks and a specific skill determined by the class. So the armsman is going to start out with everybody starts out with a 1 in their F. So an armsman gets 1 focus per 5 ranks in combat. Now note that this is not dividing, right? So this is not a roundup situation. It's 1 per 5 ranks. So an armsman will start out with 5 ranks in combat. Now theoretically, if you put a rank in combat from your background, you could have 6 ranks in combat at level 1, right? So when you get 10 ranks in a skill, your F attribute will go up to 2. So let's just say you did do that. You start out with 6 ranks in something. So that means at 5th level, all right, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, you're going to get 4 more. That would get you to 10. And then you would increase your F to 2. Now, again, every class has a corresponding F attribute, and that does different things for different classes. So an armsman gets a class ability called combat readiness, which means armsmen are rarely caught unprepared, and they get to, if they're not surprised, they get to add their focus to initiative. So that's one of the few cases where there's a bonus to initiative, again, if they're not surprised. So what you'll do is you're going to record your various class abilities on page 1 of your character sheet. So let me pop that back up again. You'll see you've got these race class traits here, this whole section. Now, it's obviously not tons of space here, so you may have to kind of shorthand things. You may have to have a note sheet, but you would put, just make a note of here what each of your class abilities does for you. And again, your race and class abilities. So like for, again, our armsmen, they get focus, they get combat readiness, they get a thing called exploit opening, where once per round, when an enemy attacks and misses, they can make a reaction attack if they have a reaction available and add their focus to the attack. So it's kind of cool. Armsmen also have fearless, which means they're trained to cope with danger, and they get to add their focus to resist against natural or magical fear. Okay? So you can kind of see how it works. And then over time, those different values, those different abilities will kind of improve as your F attribute gets better. But that does presuppose that you continue to put ranks in that corresponding skill. Because after first level, you are deciding where your ranks go, not your class. So you could play an armsman. You start out with, your 5 ranks in combat and your other different skills. And you could make this peculiar decision to never put another rank in combat again. That is a choice you could make. It's not a choice you should make, but I just want to show you that you have complete control over the development of your character. So assuming that you continue to put a rank every level into combat, over time, like in this case, like every 5 levels, your F will go up and all of these different starting abilities bump up just a little bit, and they get, just a little bit more and more useful over time. And so all the classes work that way. So just be aware of what the F attribute is, what the corresponding skill is, so you can make sure, I want to make sure I keep buying ranks in that every level, and record all of your race and class abilities on the front page of your character sheet. So all of the class abilities should be pretty, self-explanatory. All of your abilities are given to you at level 1. Like when you start out, you're not incompetent, right? You're a trained person who's, succeeded. You've gone through schooling, you've done an apprenticeship, whatever it is that has gotten to you to the point where you're ready to become a freelancer and go out and face danger. You have a wide variety of skills and abilities that you can use. And these are different things that, they're not all combat based. A lot of them are. The armsman has other things that allow them to take care of their equipment better. And they've got different, some better training, and then they get some tactical awareness and things like that. So picking your class is obviously pretty crucial because it defines all the different things you start out with. And then that's it, right? You're off in the world and you're flying, because once you have those initially recorded, you're not getting anything else from your class. That's just your starting base. You choose how you evolve over time. There is no multi-classing. You're never going to acquire another class. Your class was your formative education, and then you go out into the world. Now you can learn just about everything else that you possibly want to. The only thing that non-magic user classes can't acquire is the ability to cast spell list spells. And I will cover that next. So hopefully that gives you what you need to know when picking your class. And again, these are very customizable, and I hope you have a lot of fun making the choices and building the class that you want. All right, thanks.